Well, Seth and I share the same agent. And so there was a lot of early talk before the script had kind of been released about what he was doing, and I'm a massive fan. So the idea of this concept and him doing it was something that definitely intrigued me off the bat. Well, Anne is a woman who, through circumstances in her life, found herself kind of mixed up with these outlaws and that lifestyle, and it's not necessarily one that has given her anything but misery. So through circumstances of this story, she finds herself in a small town, and she meets a character named Albert Stark, played by Seth MacFarlane, who kind of shows her that, you know, in a very weird and unexpected way, that there's more to a relationship than what she's experienced in her life, and vice versa for him. I like that she is feminine and yet at the same time can do whatever the guys can do. I like that a lot. I like that dichotomy, that kind of gray zone of the yin and the yang, you know. I like that a lot about her. I think in Westerns you're either like, you know, for a woman, you're either a prostitute or you're this kind of greasy gunslinger. And I like that she was feminine and did all of this stuff and had a great sense of humor about herself. I like that. There are great female roles in this movie, and I think in all of Seth's work, whether it's his TV shows or TED, I think he has a real awareness of telling good stories and having those two sexes kind of play against each other. He's one of the most incredible people you'll ever meet. He's just an incredibly, ridiculously talented actor. And he's just so perfect in this. I think he's really the character that somehow gives this movie the gravitas that it needs. Yeah, I think she sees someone who really hates the same things she does. And we, you know, Seth and I talked a lot about that, you know, love sometimes, you know, when you feel like you have a connection with someone, when you're in the process of falling in love, I think a lot of times you connect or you get more excited about the things that they hate if it's the same stuff you hate versus the stuff that they love. I think there's something kind of commiserating and saying, really, you hate that too? And so a lot of our relationship kind of came out of talking about that stuff. He was incredible. There was many days where it was very hard for me to kind of remind myself that he had never been an actor in front of a camera. But it makes you realize that what he does with his voices it's acting. Whether he's on camera or not, he's in a dark room and he's creating something. And when you do that, you don't just embody a voice. You have to embody the character in order for all of that to work. And I think he even realized that in doing this. He's a very thought-out, meticulous filmmaker. So he shows up really knowing what he wants. He had a very, very clear understanding of how he saw this movie in his head. And I think what sets him apart from a lot of filmmakers who can do that is that he knows how to articulate that to his actors and to his camera department and to all the heads of his department in order for everybody to kind of paint with the right colors and the right brushes to get that across, you know, because ultimately that's our job. But if you work with a filmmaker who can't articulate that, it's very, very difficult. And he's very concise with that. Yeah, you know, I felt very comfortable in this because I think Seth and I, in talking about this, felt like we were aiming for the same thing. And I think that there is a part of me that understands that I can't go and do something that's not rooted in some reality. And I think once I find that and I emotionally tap into that, I can really kind of integrate myself into the story. And I try not too hard to think about, oh, I have to be funny, it's a comedy. You just want to you know, be honest and truthful and just kind of hope that the script can kind of guide you into those places, and your director can guide you into those places. Yeah, I mean, Seth is really, really great at finding all those people who will bring all of those colors and all of those elements that you really need in order to make a movie like this. Oh, I think it's fantastic. I really do. I think it's incredibly original. The writing is really great. The performances are really great. But it's one of those movies that you just want to see it again. There's something about it that just, it's a world and those people. I have fallen in love with this world and these people. And I've seen the movie maybe 3 times now. And every time I see it, I get that same feeling about it. And it's really funny. It's really, really funny. It definitely feels like the real deal. It's not the comedy version of a Western, and I think that's what helps the tone of this. You know, if it was just jokey and fake, then everything is jokey and fake. But I think the balance of the harsh realities of going into these environments and really shooting in these elements helps with the comedy. It balances all of it so that you feel like you're watching something that's real. It was really great. It's a beautiful place to go to, but the weather was really problematic for us. Lots of extreme weather conditions that, you know, don't necessarily make for the smoothest of schedules. But, you know, I don't think we could have done it any other way. But it was definitely a hindrance sometimes for us, yeah. You know, I've done a lot of movies where I've had to do that kind of training, and ironically, the movie that I had done right before this was a very, very big action, post-apocalyptic, you know, where I had to shoot a lot of different guns, and I was asked by the director to do a lot of gun training, and did. And so I came fresh off that and kind of had that as an advantage. But, you know, those guns are just different. They're period guns, they're heavier, and to learn the flick, that was new for me. So I just spent a lot of time kind of doing it. You just have to kind of practice. Amazing time. Amazing time. Good people, good energy. Everybody was there for the right reasons. Just really a great time. I mean, the amount that I already laugh in this film, that there was so much more of that, you know, definitely ruined a couple of takes for other actors, and I want to apologize for that.